Down deep, I feel like it's very detrimental to the sport, to our business.
Everyone in the world knows what Indianapolis Motor Speedway is. They might not know what Daytona is, but the four-cornered track at Indy is so famous. The history there is speaks without even saying anything.
The more that I thought about this, the more that these two are actually pretty similar when you think about it. They both are kind of racing in the shadows of their grandfather. They both have, in a lot of people's minds, underperformed. Welcome on to the Backstretch. I'm News 5's Heather Williams. We're going to jump right into it with our crew chief, Chris Carrier, who's also the crew chief of the number 75 Food Country team in the Craftsman Truck Series. Chris, to say there was a lot going on last week is an understatement.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Let's start with, because I think they're somewhat interconnected. 2311 and Front Row Motorsports lost their charters for the foreseeable future. They're running as open teams. NASCAR made a change to their rules to ensure that they will make the race, even if they aren't in the top 40 qualifiers if more open teams show up. That way that they can keep their injunction against, well, they didn't have an injunction, but keep their enforcement of their rules against 2311 to run as open teams, because they won't have any irreparable harm by missing the race. This is starting to get very messy, the whole thing. And in the middle of it all, Denny Hamlin goes out there and puts on a show at Dover. I think that guy thrives in chaos.
Yep.
What do you make of all this?
Heather, it's to me, as first of all, a race fan, for basically all my life. And then second of all, for being a person inside racing. I've been a mechanic and crew chief almost all my life since I was a kid. I'll be quite honest with you. It just kind of hurts me to see this going on. I feel like it's down deep. I feel like it's very detrimental to the sport, to our business. And saying this, the fact that I just feel like there should be a way to find some common ground for this. Look, we've gone through, I think, things that would be more difficult than this. I mean, we made it through COVID, and we had a lot of people just agree to say, okay, we got to compromise this. We've got to give, we've got to take, we got to make, we got to let things happen, or we may not be around anymore. We got through that, and I thought, to be honest with you, I thought we did very well, very respectable, I don't know how we could have done any better, to be quite honest with you. But now we've got to this, and this is just a disagreement about, hey, basically funding and how funding is split up. And it's a little more difficult than that, but this has got very complicated. And as you said, it's got very messy. It is now more than the elephant in the room. It's in our face. We hear about it all the time. It's like a big, dark, black cloud hanging over turn 4 in the last 50 laps of the race, or maybe right before the race starts, and you see it and you got, the cloud lights up and you think, oh gosh, here comes the lightning and the thunder. This is what it is. And I hate it. I hate it. I think that deep down, I think NASCAR could take a step and pull that team in and say, okay, we got to sit down. We got to work this out. We got to quit lashing back and forth, and we got to get on to doing the business of what we do. And I think that has been lost.
Well, I think the thing is that neither team is really willing to compromise on the fundamental disagreement, which is the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports thinks that they should own the charters. They paid money for the charters. Yep. And once they buy them, they should be theirs as long as they're in the sport and they sell them. NASCAR believes that they ultimately own the charters. They're almost like leasing them to the teams, and they can take them back at any time. And I mean, I'm trying not to take sides on this because I don't know all the details, but to me, if I pay $35 million or something, it should be mine. But like I said, I don't know all the details, so it's really hard for me to make a complete stand or thought on this. I'm fascinated to see what's going to happen at the hearing on December 1st, because Denny Hamlin told everybody over the weekend that that's when we're really going to find out the details. But it messy is the only way I can use to describe it.
Messy. There's I don't know. There's not really a different word to description. It's just to me it's just like a kind of a gut punch, to know that this is what we've come to. We've gone through this whole charter thing and franchising and so on and so forth, and we get kind of right in the middle of it, and now it's like everybody's questioning, well, is this going to work? And I've heard different, I'm gonna call them rumors, stories, whatever. And just like you said, we don't know that. None of us know the real, the real facts, the real actual 100% truth of what's going on. And you know what? Maybe nobody does. It kind of sounds like maybe they're all a little bit confused, but the stuff that's going on, and like you say, the cost of these things to have a charter, holy moly. It's just, I think it's out of control. I think it's completely out of control. And I just wish somebody would have stepped in way before it got to this point and said, now, wait a minute, we're stop. Everybody we're going to draw a line right here. We're going to figure this out. And we're not leaving the room until everybody's on the same page. Now, they've done that before. It's happened. You can't tell me it can't happen again. And I just, and I'm not blaming, I'm not throwing darts at either side. I don't know. I can't even comprehend that type of money. I can't even put my hands around it. But I do not want to see, I don't think anybody, I do not want to see these teams go away. They've done too much, and they've been there. They've proven they're quality race teams. They got quality people, and I feel for those people that are simply employees that they're listening to this and saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? What are we doing?" And I wish they could just sit down and get and come on, guys, let's work this out. There is enough money to where I think everybody could be made comfortable. Nobody's going to be on the streets.
Nobody's missing a meal.
No,
nobody in this equation is missing a meal.
Yeah.
On a more positive note this week,
yes.
NASCAR announced that they are going to race on Coronado Air Force Base in San Diego. In maybe the coolest release video I've ever seen that NASCAR put on social media. But the idea of this whole thing is fascinating to me. I was so obsessed with the NASCAR street race in Chicago to begin with. Now, this makes me even more excited. Yeah. Whizzing through and seeing aircraft carriers on the sea on your right, and airplanes on your left. Very Top Gun, very cool. What do you think about going to San Diego?
I'll just tell you this. When I heard it, our driver Parker Kligerman called me, and he said, "Well, okay, it is happening, and the Truck Series is going to be a part of it."
I was going to ask you that question. If he already knows in his mind he wants to go.
I said, Parker, in your opinion, I already knew the answer, but I said, what do you think? You think we ought to try to do this? He said, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Absolutely, we're going. We got to do some way or another." I said, "Well, okay, we got to probably find a little funding to help us go. It's a long trip." But every time I talked to my owner, Don Henderson, and we talked about it, and just the fact that you're on a naval base, and they're going to make the course on that naval base. And just like you say, there's going to be ships, planes, and our service men and women are going to be, I'm sure, in abundance. And there'll probably be, I'm sure, a lot of dignitaries, politicians, out in California. I'm sure there'll be some high profile actors and so on. Who knows? Athletes. So it's just going to be one of those things that is going to be a high marker, a high tide for NASCAR racing the whole weekend. I think it's going to be really cool. And when I kind of broke the news to our hauler driver, he was looking at me like I got to drive all the way to San Diego. But he said, you know what? He said, that's going to be so cool. I don't care. You know, and I've never been to San Diego myself. I've had several people tell me over the years that it's a beautiful city. It's a great place. It's much cooler than Los Angeles and Northern California. So I'm kind of already getting excited about it. We love road racing, and our driver loves road racing, and anything different, as this will be very different, but he will be all in. And I think the race teams, the drivers, I think everybody's going to grab a hold of this, and I think it's going to be the best new idea that NASCAR's had in a while.
Well, what I think is so cool and interesting and fascinating about this is that NASCAR always seems to find a way to, when fans are getting restless or upset or whatever, to find a better mousetrap, right? You know, people were really upset about going to the street course, going to LA. So what do? Oh, let's bring back North Wilkesboro. Let's bring back Bowman Gray. People were complaining about the street courses. Okay, well, let's do it on the military base. Not only are we now getting the fans of NASCAR who are huge supporters of the military excited, but oh, by the way, NASCAR has raced on military bases before. It's a big part of their history. So I think Ben Kennedy's a genius. I think I've said this before. I think he's one of the best things that's happened to NASCAR in a long time, and I think this proves it. This is cool. And I'm not one to blow smoke at people, but I think this is really cool.
Yeah, I think he and the people around him, whoever he's one of those. Obviously, he's one of those people that can look at a situation and look, okay, what are we looking at here? How are things going? What's the next decisions? What's the next choices? What's our options? So on and forth. And he sees, a lot of people just see boxes that they're in. Okay, could we choose this? He's thinking outside that box. He's thinking, okay, now wait a minute. Why can't look? Let's face it. They went to LA Coliseum and literally built a racetrack to race every year that they went, and then tore the racetrack down so they could play the football games. And did it in the middle of Los Angeles. And I remember when that happened, I said, these people can do anything that they really want to. That we watched it right down here, world's greatest racetrack in Bristol. They went in there and they dumped 9 zillion pounds of dirt on the thing 3 times and had dirt races. You know, when they first talked about it and started it, I thought, this is going to be a catastrophe. And then it hit me. I said, wait a minute, Bristol Speedway and that they got this. I guarantee you they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't know for sure it was going to work.
Right.
And work to the satisfaction to accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. They can do anything they want to. They're a huge company. I guarantee you they've gone through all the scenarios of what could happen, what would happen, what's the pluses, what's the minuses, how are we going to do this, how much work's it going to take, what's it going to look like, how the fans are going to react. I think it's going to be superb myself. And I hope it turns out that our team can go and that we can be a part of that. It'll be a place I've never been. So, that's a good thing. And we'll just see what happens. I think this is the build up for it is going to be huge.
So speaking of cool places to go, this week NASCAR is at Indianapolis at the Brickyard. This race track is definitely a crown jewel. This race has not always been a crown jewel, although it's much better with the next gen car. What can we expect this week at Indianapolis?
Well, it's going to be back, like you said, to the original racetrack. The road racing at Indianapolis for NASCAR at least is gone. I don't know about other series, but it's done. I think it ran its course. I think there was a couple of races that people enjoyed some, but I think it was all in the back of their mind. I think spectators and racers and even people involved in it, even the people not only with the teams, but people involved with NASCAR herself, in the back of their minds are saying, we're here at the Brickyard and we're not running the Brickyard. We're running the road race. I think it weighed on them a little bit, and they said, there's something that's just not quite right to this. So they're back at the original track probably the most historic racetrack in the world. I mean, it, with all truth said, a lot of history there, a lot of great things, a lot of great stories have happened at that track. And, you know, when you go in, I can tell you these guys, the drivers, the teams, they are going to be like, I'm going to be the one that's going to win this race. I'm going to take home one of those trophies. And if you're going to beat me, you better come with your belt tight. You better come with your shoes on. You better come with your lunch packed, because it's going to take a lot. I'm going to be the guy. And I think is it easy to do? No, it's not easy to do. That's a hard place to go. It's a little bit hard on the crews. There's a lot of walking time and stuff in and out to, you know, but everybody loves being there down deep, and everybody wants to win that race. And I think you're going to see guys going the extra bit on Sunday to take home that trophy, and also on Saturday too in the Xfinity race. And the trucks will be racing over at ORP, IRP, whatever you want to call it, the 5/8 mile in Claremont, Indiana, which is always great racing.
Yeah,
it's a great weekend for racing, for NASCAR racing in Indianapolis. It's a great. There'll be packed houses at ORP. I think there'll be a packed house Sunday at the big track. So, you know, it's a 2.5 mile track. You run pretty fast, but the corners are flat as this floor. Not much to help you. It's a rectangle shape, so it's not like any other track that we race on, period. You have to, the balance is having to give away or take in the aero downforce, side force, which equals grip, versus low drag, which means speed down the straightaways, and those are some long straightaways. So the driver has to be very involved with his crew chief and his race engineers, his team, about, okay, how do we get the speed in this car, but how I got to be able to drive the thing, you know, the whole race. Because if it's not, it's going to be hot, the tires will fall off, it'll get slick. You're still going pretty fast, so it becomes difficult on the driver to race well. You're going to see 2 and 3 wide racing, especially after restarts. It will be wild. So tune in. I think it's going to be good to watch.
This race also the conclusion of the in-season challenge. And you have everybody's top two, right? Ty Gibbs versus Ty Dillon.
Ty and Tyler. What did they say? Ty and Tyrone, or Ty and Tyler?
Ty and they started calling him Tyrone.
Yeah.
Ty Dillon is Tyrone.
Yeah. So that again too is like, this is the conclusion of this thing, and as it started, I think, and as it kept going, I think through the media and through the fan base, it started out, and a lot of people were like, yeah, let's see what happens. That's the way I was. I was like, let's just see what happens. I don't know really what to expect. I don't know if it's going to get big or not. I don't think it's going to catch on. But anytime you talk about one person winning $1 million out of something, even for the richest people in America, that ain't me, I tell you that. $1 million is a lot of money, and there's a lot of prestige in that. Ty Dillon has become one of the biggest stories of the year. You know, people will talk about this for a long time. Ty Gibbs obviously should be the favorite. He's in a much more much better financed car, a lot more people that runs up front a little bit more, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of a little bit of a David versus Goliath, I guess, type story.
It is,
maybe.
but the more that I thought about this, the more that these two are actually pretty similar when you think about it. Mm-hmm. They both are kind of racing in the shadows of their grandfather. They both have, in a lot of people's minds, underperformed in the Cup Series. And I think that because of that, a win for either one of them in this would be huge.
I think so too. I think it would turn I think Ty Dillon's season has already took a big step forward. And even if he doesn't win the challenge, if Ty Gibbs beats him on Sunday, he's still that people are going to be talking about this for a long time. And I think that team can use marketing strategy to go out and help find better sponsorship, more intake of money. to help them build their team. And I think Ty knows that. And I'll be honest with you, I really respect that young man for how he's handled this.
Yeah.
He has not been one bit arrogant about it. He's
having fun with it.
Oh, he's had a blast, and he's made other people laugh. And I think he's got a lot of fans. I heard a little bit saw some replay of where, Denny got a little aggravated with him when he was trying to lap traffic, and Ty was there, and he said, "Why are they racing so hard?" Well, they're racing for $1 million, and of course, Denny tied in his car running 400 laps at Dover and trying to muscle thing around. He's not, let's face it, inside that car, he hasn't got time to think about that. It's not, it's not like me and you sitting here and saying, "Hey, give the guy a break."
Well, when I was listening to the scanner, some of the spotters and crew chiefs were reminding people that they were running for that $1 million.
I think that's good that they were.
I heard one spotter say, "Well, there's the 10 and the 42. Remember, they're racing for the championship. They might get a little crazy."
That's right. Well, I'm sorry if I were in probably either spot. If I was Denny Hamlin and I was trying to win that race, let's face it, he's motivated right now because of but not only is he a great racer, but he's because of the whole deal with NASCAR and the disagreement and the uncertain future and so on. Denny's more, he is a dangerous monster right now.
Yeah.
And he's in there trying to, like I say, those guys are in there. Nobody's sitting there with them, or whatever. They're by themselves. They're tied in that thing. They're on the brink of crashing every lap. It's hot. It's loud. It's vibrating and everything. Their mind is not focused on Ty Dillon and this thing that they're not involved in. And I would probably get aggravated too. I'd say, "Hey man, get him to give me a little bit of room. I'll go on, then he can race." But Ty Dillon and the people that were involved in that, John Hunter, who he was racing, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, they all were thinking about that, especially Ty Dillon.
Well,
especially him.
For Ty Dillon, this could be the biggest thing to happen to his
absolutely.
career, other than his championships in the lower series.
Absolutely. This is huge for him and that team, and he knows. He has taken heartfelt not only how big it is for him, but his team, his team owners, and his people. You can hear that in his voice. And if I'm him, I'm not worried about Denny Hamlin or Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson or anybody else who's racing for the lead, and especially in the middle of the race, and he's trying to lap me, and I'm trying to stay on that same lap so I can get a foot up, a foot ahead of the guy I'm racing. I'd be the same thing as Ty Dillon. I'd race everybody as hard as I could to get into the next step, and that's what he did. And I congratulate him and that team. I think it's been a great story, and I'm really proud of that young man for how he's handled this whole thing. He's said the right things at the right time. I think he's gained a lot of fans and a lot of support and a lot of respect, which at the end of the day, not only is that good for him and his team, I think it's good for the sport.
For sure.
I think it's good for our business, our spectators and our fans that are supporting us. They like seeing stuff like this. I like seeing stuff like this. I know you do. It's like, hey man, this is maybe there is such an American dream story. This guy's trying to live it in what he does for a living as a race car driver. So we'll see. I'm kind of pulling for him. I do not dislike Ty Gibbs. I love the kid. I think he's a gas masher. He's had a tough time this year. Let's don't forget what all he's been through the last 2 or 3 years, personally and with his family, and the sad things he's had happen. And he's got to be, if he wins it, it's a feel good story for him too. So we'll see. That's just another big story to watch on Sunday.
First of all, Riley, thanks for joining us today. Little more than halfway through your rookie season. How would you evaluate your year so far?
Yeah, it's been fun. A lot of learning for sure. Trying to learn in the footsteps of Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. They've been helping me out tremendously this year, and I think some races have gone better than others. I think there's been some highs and lows, and I think that's all what comes with the rookie season. But really looking forward to get to Indianapolis, where I've had a lot of fun there before, and it's a great racetrack.
You mentioned your teammates. What is it like? You've got two guys that are pretty established in the garage. They've had success. They've both been playoff drivers. How have they been in helping you kind of get adjusted?
Yeah, anything I need to ask or call them, they're always available. So they've been phenomenal as teammates, better than I could honestly ever expect. They always have my back and just trying to help me get my footing going in the right direction in this first year in the Cup Series, and just extremely grateful to the both of them.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you as a rookie? Everybody always says that the biggest jump comes from Xfinity to Cup. I guess till you experience it, you don't really understand. But what's been the biggest challenge for you?
That's so true. I think unless you experience it, you don't understand it. Everybody can try to tell you and prepare you for it, but you don't really understand it until you make that jump into the deep end. So I would say the biggest challenge is just learning the new car. It's so fundamentally different from everything we've learned since we were 15, 14 years old racing stock cars. Everything we've been taught is completely different now with this new race car, which isn't right or wrong. It's just different. So it's been fun to learn and acclimate it and try to get better each weekend with it.
Your journey for me is so fascinating because you're a guy that was in the Xfinity series for quite some time, and then a couple years ago, it really clicked. I mean, you were always good, but then it like really clicked. When that moment comes, what is that like? Because, I consider myself to be someone who was kind of a late bloomer, as it were. Not that, I mean, you're still very young, but I mean, it took a little bit longer. What is that moment like for you when it finally clicks and you're like, ah, this is it?
Well, it's fun, right? So hopefully that moment comes for everybody sooner rather than later. But it's just a matter of hard work, and the harder you work at it, eventually it will pay off, and you will click at it. If you want something bad enough, you'll figure out a way to get it. And so I heard that since I was a young kid, and just kind of sticking with it, working hard, and eventually it paid off in the Xfinity series, and I think it's going to be no different in the Cup series. So got to stay working hard with it, learning every day and trying to become better, and eventually it will all click.
When you look at these final races before the playoff starts, are you looking at possibilities to get a win in the final one? I would think Daytona would be one. You're a pretty darn good super speedway racer. Are there any races that you're kind of targeting in these final, what, six races?
Yeah, everybody enjoys going down to Daytona for the summer race. It's a Saturday night race under the lights. Weather's awesome, so it's a great atmosphere down there. It's a really fun racetrack. Obviously, anything can happen at Daytona, but honestly, to be candid with you, it's just about looking and trying to be better each weekend. So going to Indianapolis this week is just trying to be better than we were last week at Dover and keep progressing each year or each week into this year and try to get better and better.
This week at Indianapolis? Obviously, one of the races that people consider one of the crown jewels of the sport. What makes Indy so cool?
I mean, just walking into that place, um, ever since you're a little kid being a race car driver, you want to race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I said it last year, it's the most famous racetrack in the world. Everyone in the world knows what Indianapolis Motor Speedway is. They might not know what Daytona is, but the four-cornered track at Indy is so famous. The history there is speaks without even saying anything. It's so cool just to walk in that place. So yeah, just an honor to race there, and it's definitely one of our sports crown jewels.
You talked about the four corners. I mean, Indy actually has four corners. We talk about ovals that have four corners, but really they're kind of two corners. How much more challenging is the kind of square shape at Indy?
It's just fun. It's such a technical racetrack. They all look similar, but they're all very, very different, each of the four corners. So as a race car driver, or at least for myself, it's a lot of fun to go there. And it's just so eye-opening when you walk in that place, how big it is. And you can honestly just feel the history and the aura when you walk in there. It's such a cool place, and the tradition speaks for itself.